We have a huge article coming from the New York Post on how Obama's Trump-Russia collusion report, it was corrupt from the start. That's the CIA was always lying about it. Even when Obama said, we're going to do a report on it, they even lied about that, what's in the report. We'll go over that report in just a minute. Welcome to Doug in Exile. If you're in the Quad Club, that is, if you watch 4 videos a day, thank you guys for sticking around. You really help keep the lights on around here. And of course, to our new subscribers, over 1,000 just yesterday. I need you guys to subscribe. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please come in. It's how you say thank you for the hard work we do on the news. Now, we're going to get to that big, beautiful bill tomorrow, probably, because right now it did not have enough votes to pass in the House. The Senate version that came back to the House ain't enough votes. So they're meeting with Trump. They may have to change it. If they change it too much, it has to go back to the Senate again for their approval. So it's looking a little shady on this thing getting done by July 4th in 2 days for Trump. I'll give you guys an update tomorrow. Now, on that Obama story, here we are over at the New York Post. Obama's Trump-Russia collusion report was corrupt from the start. This is a major publication coming out in public now, the CIA to review it. A bombshell new CIA review of the Obama administration's spy agency's assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election to help Donald Trump was deliberately corrupted by then CIA Director John Brennan. Now, John Brennan is one of the true lying anti-Trump bad guys. And remember the last video I did that's on Project 2029 or 2 videos ago, it was done today. I go over some of the major people that are part of the next Democrat run in 2028. Among them is this Brennan agency, is one of the charities. Totally corrupt bad guy. FBI Director James Comey and National Director of Intelligence James Clapper, that's another bad guy, who were excessively involved in its drafting and rushed its completion in a chaotic, atypical, and markedly unconventional process that raised questions of a potential political motive. Oh, you think? I like this too, quote, potential political motive. Is it potentially political to go after the candidate running for president? Remember, this is right after earlier this year, as John Solomon reports on In the News, where the first thing that the Biden administration does is they go in and as soon as they won the election, they confiscated Trump's cell phone and Mike Pence's cell phone, looking for messages and dirt on them to prove the insurrection. So this is 4 years earlier. This is what Democrats do with leadership, with their strong arm at the FBI and CIA and the IRS. In fact, any institution they have has been corrupted. A normal judge, if the judge is a Democrat, it's politicized. Further, Brennan's decision to include the discredited Steele dossier, this is the fake dossier. They claim that Trump peed on prostitutes. This is Steele was an English spy, illegal for Hillary to fund this guy. But Brennan decided to include the Steele dossier over the objections of the CIA's most senior Russian experts, because they said, hey, Brennan, this thing undermines the credibility of the assessment. He goes, yeah, but I'm psycho, anti-Trump, put it back in. The Tradecraft review of the 2016 Intelligence Community Assessment, the ICA, on Russian election interference was conducted by career professionals at the CIA's Directorate of Analysis and was commissioned by CIA Director John Ratcliffe in May. Look, here's the document itself. This is from May. And you can trust this John Ratcliffe guy. He's had these guys' number for a while. Anyways, there's a lot of redactions in this thing. Basically, he's after them all on uncovering all this stuff. You have to go back and unpack it all. That's an 8-page document. The Lessons Learned review found that on December 2016, 6 weeks before his presidency ended, Barack Obama ordered the assessment, which concluded that Russian President Vladimir Putin aspired to help Trump win the election. That drags Barack Obama, the previous president, into this whole thing. And he really was the genesis start. It wasn't Hillary Clinton who was a candidate. It was a Barack Obama who had the presidential authority to pull the trigger on spying on Trump's campaign, putting in sound hearing devices around Trump Hotel, hiring spies and informants to go and bump up against him and build up this story. The review identified multiple procedural anomalies that undermine the credibility of the ICA, including a highly compressed production timeline, stringent compartmentation, and excessive involvement of agency heads. It also questioned the exclusion of key intelligence agencies, so ones that they kept out, and said media leaks may have influenced analysis to conform to a false narrative of Trump-Russia collusion. So they even used the media, and they started believing the media that it was fake. And our intelligence officers are using the media as sources that are all run by Democrats. This whole thing was so dirty and stupid, I barely even have to report on it to tell you guys this stuff. Of course, Barack Obama, who was an idiot and an apparatchik and a compromised scum, like just pure Democrat political, I will lie to do anything. I'm a pragmatist. I want my preferred ends. I will pursue any means possible, degrading himself. And he comes out smelling like a rose because all of the leftists at all of these big agencies and the media cover for him because they want him to win. But they act like he's pristine. He's Magic Obama. No, this guy was a trashy and murderous, firing rockets on civilians. Quote, the rush timeline to publish both classified and unclassified versions before the presidential transition raised questions about a potential political motive behind the White House tasking and the timeline. The review found that Brennan directed the compilation of the ICA and that his, Comey's, and Clapper's direct engagement in the ICA's development was highly unusual in both scope and intensity and risked stifling analytical debate. So they couldn't even analyze it. There was no debate to be had because logic was thrown out the window. There he is right there. What a complete criminal. Unbelievable. Brennan handpicked the CIA analysts, because he wanted his Democrat hysterical conspiracy theorists to come in and frame Trump, to compile the ICA and involved only the ODNI, CIA, FBI, and NSA, excluding 13 of the then 17 intelligence agencies. He sidelined the National Intelligence Council, probably because there were too many Republicans on it, forced the inclusion of the discredited Steele dossier despite objections to the authors and senior CIA Russia experts, so as to push a false narrative that Russia secured Trump's 2016 victory, which we still hear repeated by Hillary Clinton, by MSNBC, all fake news. This was Obama, Comey, Clapper. So here's Obama. This is the not first time, but generally you don't see his name listed among these, but now he's formally involved. This was Obama, Comey, Clapper, and Brennan deciding, quote, we're going to screw Trump, said Ratcliffe in an exclusive interview. It was, we're going to create this and put the imprimatur of an IC assessment in a way that nobody can question it. They stamped it as Russian collusion and then classified it so nobody could see it. See, so you could see the stamping of Russian collusion, but you couldn't see the actual alleged evidence inside. This led to Mueller. Remember, he was the sleepwalker that allegedly did the Mueller investigation. He, in the end, concluded, I don't know where I am. I'm not responsible for anything. A special counsel to Robert Mueller's inquiry, which concluded after 2 years that there was no Trump-Russia collusion, it put the seal of approval of the intelligence community that Russia was helping Trump and that the Steele dossier was the scandal of our lifetime. It ate up the first 2 years of Trump's first presidency, and that was always the goal, guys. They were never going to get Trump with all this false stuff. They just wanted to trip up his actual ability to be the president. You see now how Brennan and Clapper and Comey manipulated and silenced all the career professionals and railroad. There's Brennan. This guy is dirty, just the biggest anti-Trump. Look at him. He looks like an ape. He looks like a gorilla. Look at him here. Ooh, look at that pronounced brow of a truly primitive and the forward muzzle, a truly primitive Democrat operative. The CIA reviews notes that before work even began in the ICA, media leaks suggesting that the intelligence community had already reached definitive conclusions, risking creating and anchoring. This was all leaked by Adam Schiff. This was Melonhead Adam Schiff released that and goes, I can't release the actual information, but we have, people on the inside have the proof that Donald Trump colluded. He said that on TV, and of course, CNN pushed it all out for him. Even the Washington Post, New York Times reported the IC had concluded with high confidence that Russia had intervened specifically to help Trump win the election, even though now in hindsight, Washington Post and New York Times have been exposed as just another Democrat political rag doing what the party wanted and Barack Obama wanted. The Post cited as unnamed U.S. official describing this as the IC's consensus view. The highly compressed timeline was atypical for a formal IC assessment, which ordinarily can take months to prepare. Remember how slow the actual report that Trump called on this thing? It took years. Was it the Denon report? Complexity and political sensitivity. Brennan responded that my bottom line is that I believe that the information warrants inclusion in the report, he said, politically, purely trying to dive bomb him. Here's in the end, the spy agency heads decided to include a 2-page summary of the Steele dossier, because they would never put the actual dossier in there, as an annex to the ICA, with a disclaimer that the material was not used to reach the analytic conclusions, because this guy's party was what reached the analytic conclusions. Guys, it was just get the Democrat Party elected. The review also quotes Brennan's memoir, Undaunted, so this is a work of fiction, in which he revealed that he established crucial elements of the process with the White House before NIC involvement, stating he informed them the CIA would, quote, take the lead drafting the report, unquote, and that the coordination would be limited to the FBI and NSA. Guys, this was all a giant fraud. I'm just happy to see Barack Obama's name finally listed in some of these documents by Ratcliffe under the Trump administration, just now released. I will do more follow-up as we find out what of this information can do any damage. Can they bring in another investigation to reinvestigate these guys? Ratcliffe is pursuing all of these threads going back and retracing exactly what happened in a 2016-2017 Russian collusion hoax that is 100% a lie, and the media is still reporting on it. That's MSNBC, CNN, and Hillary Clinton. Does Barack Obama get hit on this one, or did he slide right through this just like P. Diddy on trial? I'm Doug in Exile.